still have to talk a little bit about Bobby.
Man.
So we got a couple responses. One from Brendan in the yes camp, I believe, saying ASU made 3 tournaments from 1995 to 2016, and Hurley has made 3, should have been 4 because of the COVID season, in his tenure. Also, this is Hurley's first missed NCAA tourney in a season unaffected by COVID since 2016 to 2017.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, the stats. So this is Bobby Hurley's tournament appearances to me remind me of like box score watching, when you just look at the box score, but you didn't actually watch the game. Like, they've made the tournament, but a lot of them have been Dayton, and the teams just have been frustrating because they flame out toward the end.
Yeah.
And they back their way into the tournament.
And
You're
that's kind of like the
your
Bobby
fingernails.
print, like, oh, this team, if they hit their potential, if everything works right, if they're firing in all cylinders, they could win a couple games, and then it just doesn't happen near the end of the season. And I agree with you when it comes to the whole tournament thing, because like, you go back and you put yourself in those seasons when they ended, nobody was happy. Nobody was like, wow, what a really good season from Bobby Hurley and ASU. There were great moments. I mean, there were peaks and highs that were incredible.
Last year was impressive. The way he willed his team back toward the end of the year when you thought it was going to be another repeat. That was one of the first times where I was like, okay, like, this is some adjustment. I remember that the USC game in the tournament, like, that was, I mean, they were just playing. That was a different energy that I hadn't seen in so long. And that was, again, after a skid near the end of the year.
I mean, I just want to say, like, I don't think that Bobby Hurley is a bad basketball coach. I don't. I really don't. I feel like he's a good basketball mind. I think he's a good motivator. I think he'd be a good recruiter. I think he is not the type of guy to put as a head coach in a program in a university like ASU that has so many other things going against it. He's not the kind of guy to overcome that. And I don't know who is, and it would take a very special coach to do that. But I think that you're just repeating if you do that over and over again.
Yeah.
But like you said, like, he's had some honestly, some really impressive moments, some impressive teams, some impressive stretches with a lot of different types of players as well.
Yep.
Like, you've gone from guard U to the forwards to the bit. Like, it's always been different with him. And you look at Doug Holler put out this tweet. In 9 seasons at Arizona State, Herb Sendek was 159 and 137. After 9 seasons, Bobby Hurley is 155 and 131. So, and he added, it's not an easy job. Cartman went up there and said, AD, arena hasn't changed in that time as well. Like, it's not like, you're not dealt a good hand.
Yeah. But the thing that everyone points out is the adjustments, and that's completely understandable, especially X's and O's, which, again, we'll get to in a little bit. David saying, I think this must be a typo. I don't think he meant this. I think the issues with Throbby aren't going to change. David,
That's kind of a
David,
funny
I hate you. I don't understand how another year with this group is going to bring different results. Yeah, I mean, and again, what I've said is, like, I totally understand that frame of thinking. So, yeah.
And like the in-game adjustments and the getting people motivated. I don't know, like, with this specific game, like, tied for the worst margin of loss in the Pac-12 tournament history, like, it almost it almost just kind of felt
setting
like
records this year.
Yeah, it's true. They are a record-setting team. It kind of felt like no matter what, they're going to come out tonight and they just weren't going to play well.
And then David follows it up with, just because we have never had better doesn't mean we don't deserve more.
Yeah, it's not about what you deserve. It's about what you're able to get.
Yellow Daisy 485 saying, in the no camp, Hurley runs no offense. We can't make baskets. We need a coach that will run an offensive scheme. Yeah, that's the biggest argument, and valid. Like, it is the most frustrating thing about this team that to watch night in and night out. Like, if the shots aren't falling, this team is not winning, and there's no way around it. And that is something that obviously needs to change, and it has never changed. And Cartman brought up a great point earlier. I'm sure a lot of people saw his tweet about the effective field goal percentage over the years and how they've always been in the bottom half under Bobby, and it's actually gotten worse over the years. But he said an offensive assistant coach would go a long way.
Nate Oates.
Like when Nate Oates was here, and there's a lot of things.
I mean, yeah, you have to build that's the thing. When you have no resources, which, listen, I don't care how good of a basketball coach you are. If you're put in the situation that ASU puts its coaches in, like for basketball, you're in a really rough spot. Like it doesn't matter how good you are going to be playing with a little bit of a handicap.
Dude, but those Buffalo teams were so good with him.
Yeah, no, they were.
Oh, they were. Sorry, excuse me. They were good for what they were for sure.
But like, again, you're judging on the scale of Buffalo.
Yeah, and their offenses were just working. And again, obviously that's with Nate Oates. So
right, and you need to have somebody who can. Again, like you're going to have to find somebody that can go beyond your flaws, because it doesn't feel like ASU is going to be renovating their arena anytime soon.
Yeah.
Like you would hope that they would, and it should be a top priority list, but they don't even have a dang AD yet. So you need somebody who can assemble a good staff, that can invest in the players, get the most out of the players, so that they don't just come there because if you tour Tempe, like, yeah, Tempe is great. It's a really good college town to sell people on. And then you walk your 5-star recruit into the training facility, into Desert Financial Arena, and you're like, okay, this is just, it's not where it needs to be. It's not anywhere close to where it needs to be. But if then you're talking to a coaching staff and you watch a coaching program and you watch a team that like gets the most out of their players, you're actually able to talk yourself into playing for that type of program. But when you don't have all of that going for you, you're just going to be in an endless cycle of mediocrity over and over and over and over again.
Yeah. Brennan saying, like you guys said, last year was impressive. Tough to jump ship. After this season, everything possible went wrong this season. 4 scholarship players out tonight. Yeah. I'm not going to build excuses, though. Like, the 4 scholarship players were out tonight, but you also, like, you've been without a lot of guys the entire year, and most of the guys have been the same. You haven't had Bryson Long and St. Meeks since basically the San Diego game. Like, you should have learned how to adjust.
But eventually, after 9 years, like the excuses kind of just go out the window.
The excuse just do go out the window. But again, this is the last time I'll say it. The reason why this excuse isn't gone for me is because next year should be the first year where he's actually able to retain some talent because of NIL.
But again, like you would hope so. And I know that there is reports out there that he will have a bigger NIL bag to play from. But at the same time, I would be absolutely shocked if ASU was still on the level with some of these other programs as far as NIL goes. Just because you're better doesn't mean that you're good enough. And I don't know, man. If I was a player for ASU, I am not saying I would leave. But if you sit back, you just lost 90-57. You saw half of your teammates give up at the biggest game, including one teammate that literally left. He literally left. I see a coach that I don't see like putting the best into his players. I don't see a good arena, a good training facility. The athletic department doesn't have an AD, and the president is notoriously against investing in sports and making them a top priority. And he's not going to be gone anytime soon because what he's done with the rest of ASU is massively impressive. So when you look at all of that and you think, I have 1-2 years of eligibility left and I have the opportunity to jump somewhere else, I could see that thought process playing out for people.